A very good afternoon to all the students who are present today for the lecture of third year BCom semester 5 for the subject Business Administration. I warmly welcome one and all. Now students, you have been attending number of lectures in BA and you are aware that we have discussed a number of topics on the third chapter of Unit 1 that talks on capitalization. We have discussed about the meaning of capital as per different viewpoints. We have also discussed about the meaning of capitalization. We have discussed about the importance, the different advantages of capitalization. We also discussed the different theories of capitalization, the concept of each theory in detail, as to how capitalization is determined under every theory and where is it applicable. Thereby, in the previous two lectures, we have been discussing the concepts of over and under capitalization. I have explained you in detail as to what is the meaning of over and under capitalization. So I hope that you remember a situation where the capital invested was more than what is actually required. Capital is in excess than the earning capacity of the firm, resulting to a lower real value of the share as compared to its book value was a situation of overcapitalization. But if the same thing is understood from the other perspective, that is to say, when the company is having lesser capital than what is actually required, the capital is less invested than the earning capacity of the firm, and thereby the real value of share is higher than its book value, it is nothing but a situation of undercapitalization. So we have understood that neither overcapitalization nor undercapitalization is required. One needs to have an optimum capital position, that is to say when the book value is equal to the real value of the share. So we have understood how it is to be computed. We also understood comparing both of them, even with an example. Where book value was concerned with the owner's funds, real value was something to do with the earnings. And that is why under overcapitalization, we have seen that real value is less than the book value because capital invested is more than the earning capacity of the firm. Students, in the previous lecture, I explained you the different causes, effects, and the remedies pertaining to overcapitalization. So today also we shall be understanding all the causes, all the effects and remedies, but from the aspect of undercapitalization. So the focus for today's lecture shall be to understand the effects, causes, and the remedies of undercapitalization, and thereby I would explaining you a complete comparative picture, a difference between overcapitalization and undercapitalization. So thereby you would be very clear with both the aspects completely. So before I move on with the new topics, you can have a quick revision of whatever we did in the previous lecture. So I had explained you the different causes that leads to a situation of overcapitalization. When I say a situation of overcapitalization, these are the causes which tends to increase the capital investment, but the earning capacity on the other hand is less. So let us find out the causes once again. I had explained you the first that you can see promotion during inflation. So I had explained you that whenever a new company is established during inflation, that is to say when the prices are already high, it may have purchased assets at a higher price. That is to say during inflation, during an optimistic situation, the capital might have been invested quite huge. But later on when the depression sets in, the earning capacity falls down because the prices have already fallen down and thereby results to overcapitalization. Number two, we had understood with the heavy promotion expenses, that is to say, when heavy promotion expenses incurred, when huge amount of service charge is paid to the promoters, definitely it would impact the earning capacity of the business. Also, when the assets are purchased at a higher price, that is to say, when the promoters are transferring the assets at a higher price to us, it results into increased capital investment. But on the other hand, earning capacity is lower. Thereby, overcapitalization can also be caused by raising the debt funds at a higher interest rate. Debt funds were your borrowed funds. So, when borrowed funds are raised at a higher interest rate, it makes the investment quite expensive. But on the other hand, the earning capacity will be reduced as high interest has to be paid. So, a huge burden on the financial position of the company. Thereby, a liberal dividend policy, that is to say, when huge dividends are paid to the shareholders. On the other hand, plowing back of profit is quite less, thereby affecting the earning capacity of the firm. Again, when heavy taxes are paid to the government, it is going to impact and reduce the earning capacity. And lastly, a defective financial plan. It could be that the financial planning itself is defective, resulting into a shortage of capital or surplus capital. So these were all the causes we have discussed pertaining to overcapitalization, that is either resulting into huge capital investment or resulting into reduction in the earning capacity of the firm. Thereby, students, in the previous lecture, I also explained you the effects. So I hope you remember there were three parties basically affected. It was the company, the shareholders, and the society. So when the company is facing huge capital investment, where the requirement is not that much and the earning capacity is also less, it will first and foremost affect the prestige, goodwill, the reputation of the company. The price of the shares immediately goes down because the earning capacity is not large enough. The credit worthiness would be judged. It would be very difficult for the company to raise funds from the external sources. Thereby, to the shareholders also, it is a curse because, on one hand, the real value of the shares has gone down. So, the shareholders are not able to realize a good amount from the shares after selling them. On the other hand, because the earning capacity is also reduced, they are not able to get a steady or a regular dividend from the company. And lastly, when the company is facing a low earning capacity, it would directly impact on the society also, as the prices of the products may be increased to cover the earning, or it could also be that the quality is reduced. It would also affect the employment sector. So in this way, it is also going to affect the society at large. And lastly, students, in the previous lecture, I explained you the different remedies one can take, the company can take to avoid a situation of overcapitalization. So first is very simple, that one can reduce the share value itself to bring down the increased capital investment. Plowing back of profits, that is to say, instead of giving more of dividends to the shareholders, it is better to plow back the profit in the business itself so that the earning capacity stays sustained. And lastly, the entire capital structure itself can be reorganized so that the overcapitalization situation gets resolved. So I hope with this you are clear with whatever we discussed in the previous lecture. Students, the focus for today shall be now to understand the same effects, causes, and the remedies, but as I said, from the aspect of undercapitalization. While understanding, you may feel that the points are quite similar, but always understand we are now going to discuss the contradictory or the opposite part of every point. So when we would study the causes, when we would be studying the effects, the same kind of cause, the same kind of effects would be seen, but the picture would be opposite as compared to over capitalization. I would not be discussing the meaning again as we have already done previously. As you know, undercapitalization would be now a situation where your earnings are actually higher in relation to the capital investment. You have less capital invested as compared to your requirement. And lastly, because the earning capacity is higher than the capital investment, the real value is also higher than its book value. So students, with this, I begin with the new topics of the day. We would now understand every cause leading to a situation of undercapitalization. So the first that you can see is purchase of assets at a low price. As I said, the points would be very similar. So I hope you remember that in overcapitalization, the point said purchase of assets at higher price, at an inflated price. But on the other hand, when we are dealing with undercapitalization, when the assets are transferred by the promoters at a lower price, it will result to a low capital investment, but on the other hand the earning would be quite higher and thereby resulting into under capitalization. But of course it is a rare occurrence. The instances are not seen many a times, but if at all it happens, it would result to undercapitalization. The next one that you see is underestimate of income. Now, this is a new point, and it says that when a company is underestimating its income, maybe the company feels that it is not going to earn a large amount of money in future, and because of that, it tends to make less capital investment. But later on, it comes to know that the estimate was wrong, and actually, their earning capacity is quite higher in relation to its capital investment. Then it will result to undercapitalization. Number three, it could be a sudden, unanticipated increase in earnings. Let us say there could be a windfall gain for the company, some sudden and something that was completely not expected, and results to increase in the earning capacity of the firm. So, of course, when the earnings go higher than the capital investment, it would result to undercapitalization. Next, establishment during depression. So again, a same point you studied in overcapitalization, that was establishment during inflation. So here we would study from the aspect of depression. That is to say, when new companies are established during deflation or during depression, they may have got the assets at a lower price, the investment would have been cheaper, but later on during inflation, the prices go high, the earnings go high, and thereby results to a situation of undercapitalization. The next being conservative dividend policy. If you remember, in overcapitalization, it was a liberal dividend policy. Here it has become opposite, that is conservative. Now the companies are quite conservative in giving the dividend. They are not declaring higher dividends, rather they are retaining the profits in the business itself. They are undergoing plowing back of profits, and thereby it results to undercapitalization. Next is high efficiency. So it may happen that due to maybe modernization, due to rationalization, due to research and development, due to expansion, the efficiency of the business has increased. So definitely it would also impact positively the earning capacity, the real value of the share, and results to undercapitalization. Next is to have an unexpected gain that you also saw in point number three. When there is a gain which was not expected by the business, it is something unexpected. It would again result into increased earning capacity for the firm. And lastly, the firm may also have some secret reserves. That is to say, it might have kept some amount on side, may have kept it hidden from the shareholders, and therefore in the long run when the reserves go big, it would affect the earning capacity and result to under capitalization. So I hope that you are clear with all the different causes that you have studied for undercapitalization. I give you 10 seconds, have a quick look at all the points. All right. So after understanding the causes, same thing we are going to do for undercapitalization, that is to understand the effects of undercapitalization. As you know, it would be on the same three parties, but in a different manner, that is to say the company, the shareholders, and the society. So let us first understand its effects onto the company. Now, when we are talking about undercapitalization, the company has less capital investment and the earning capacity is quite high. The real value of the share is higher than the book value. So, definitely, the effect would be that now it is going to positively affect the prestige, reputation, the goodwill of the company. Such a company enjoys higher market price of the share. The prestige is high, the credit standing is high. So it is very easy for such companies to raise the funds from the outside environment, maybe through debentures, bonds, or any sort of a loan. But on the other hand, undercapitalization would also have some ill effects on the company as well. When there is a company which has huge earning capacity, the market price is going high, the investors' expectations will also increase. They would now require huge dividends from the company. On the other hand, even the customers would demand good quality products, not at a higher price. Also, the employees would want more wages from the company, would require more employment opportunities. And lastly, with high earning capacity, even the government may impose restrictions and may also impose more taxes on such companies. So I hope you have understood the dual effect on the company. One being the positive aspect of high prestige, high creditworthiness, but on the other hand, the ill effect also, that is by increasing investors' expectation, the customers, employees, and the government taxes. The second is the effect on the shareholders. Now, definitely, when the company is having a high real value of share, high earning capacity, the shareholders' expectations would also get increased. The real value of the share is high, so definitely they would get good amount on selling the shares. Sometimes they can also lend the shares as a security to obtain any form of a loan. They would be satisfied because the earnings are regular and stable, so they would not have any doubt pertaining to the capital they have invested or the dividends that they shall be receiving, and thereby the effect on the society at large. So again, it is a boon for the society in a sense that such companies are not going to get closed down. So the society is quite sure about the employment opportunities generated. Also, they would be satisfied with the price, the quality of the product that they are given with. So definitely, the society would be benefited at large through under capitalization. So I hope that you are clear also with all the effects of undercapitalization. With this, we move on to the next question that shows the remedies a company can take to avoid a situation of undercapitalization. So when the company is having less capital invested as compared to its earning capacity, the first remedy that it can take is issuing additional shares. Because when additional shares will be issued at par, the share capital of the company can increase. And it would be good for the company also because the capital would go high and would not be low as compared to the earning capacity. The next is payment of high dividend. So of course, if the company has enough liquidity, it can also pay high dividend to the shareholders. Thereby, the capital would get parallel with the earning capacity. And lastly, even the bonus shares can be issued. Now, I hope you know that bonus shares are issued free of cost out of the distributable profit that the firm has. So when such bonus shares are issued, of course, the share capital would not increase, but the number of shares over which the share capital has to be divided, the profit is distributed, would increase. So when the profit gets distributed over a large number of shares, the dividend per share can go down. So these are few remedies that the company can go for, opt for, in order to avoid a situation of under capitalization. I hope that you are clear with even the concept of undercapitalization, that is to say, its causes, effects, and the remedies. When you are asked a short note on overcapitalization or on undercapitalization, try to answer the question with the definition, give one example comparing the real value and the book value, and thereby explain its causes, its effects, and its remedies. With this, we move to the last question for the chapter of capitalization. That is, now you would be understanding the difference between overcapitalization and undercapitalization. There are a number of points that you already know by now and you are able to differentiate already, but let me explain you in the form of a comparative chart for better understanding. So there are some 10 points that we shall be discussing. Let us discuss first few. The first point that you can see would be the definition, of course. Try to begin the difference by explaining the meaning of both over and undercapitalization. So the meaning you have already discussed. I would just repeat myself that while writing for overcapitalization, you have to mention that it is a situation where the capital investment is high in relation to the earning capacity and the book value of share is higher than the real value of share, while on the other hand, for undercapitalization, it is a situation where the capital invested is less than the earning capacity and the real value is high than the book value. So we have already discussed earlier, the same thing you shall be writing. Number two, the rate of earnings. Now, as you know, the earning capacity is lower in relation to the capital invested in overcapitalization, but in case of undercapitalization, the earning capacity is higher as compared to capital investment. So as I said, the points are already discussed. The third, again, you know, real value of share. So real value is low as compared to book value for overcapitalization because you know the earnings are less, but the capital invested is more. While on the other hand, for undercapitalization, the real value is higher as compared to the book value because the earnings being higher than the capital invested. Fourth point, return of capital invested. So again, same thing, the earnings are not large enough as compared to the capital investment, but here the return is higher, the earnings are higher as compared to the capital invested. Next, effect on the price of share. Now, because the real value is lesser, definitely the shareholders are going to get lesser dividend because the earning capacity is also low. But on the other hand, here the shareholders are getting higher dividend because the real value of the share is higher, the earning capacity is higher. I give you 10 seconds, have a look at all the points mentioned above. All right. So now let us understand the remaining few points for over and under capitalization. So again, these points we have already discussed. For the sixth point, you shall be mentioning the causes or the reasons of both over and under capitalization. So we have discussed some 8 causes for both over and under capitalization. So the same you can just state in each of the column. You just have to state those causes. You don't have to explain them again over here. Next, remedies. So also we know about the different remedies that have to be taken. So the same three remedies you can mention in both the columns. And lastly comes a point, harmful. Now, which is more harmful and which is less harmful? Now, I have been telling you that neither a company wants a situation of overcapitalization, nor would it like to have undercapitalization. But in case we want to compare, it's quite obvious that overcapitalization is more harmful because over here the capital is quite high but the earning capacity is not high, the real value is not high. But on the other hand, in undercapitalization it would be less harmful as capital is low, but the earning capacity is quite high. So as far as earning is high, it would be less harmful as compared to over capitalization. So I hope that you are very well clear with this as well. So students, with this, we have today finished the third chapter of Unit 1 that talks on capitalization. I hope you remember that the first unit of BA talks on financial management, covering a weightage of 50%, in which there are 5 chapters altogether. And today we have finished with the third chapter as well. I hope you remember we have done financial management, we have done financial planning, and today we also finish capitalization. In the next lecture to come, we are going to start with the fourth chapter of Unit 1 that would be talking all about capital structure. I would also be sharing with you the reading material, the material from your text regarding all the chapters that we have already discussed. So in case you don't have easy access to them, you can download it from the Google Classroom itself. You can have a quick recap of whatever is done today. So I hope that you are very well clear with the entire chapter. In case you have any doubts, post them in the Google Classroom and I shall be answering to them at the earliest. See you soon in the next lecture where we begin with chapter number 4. And do start your reading, do read your notes and try to ask any queries if it comes. Thank you so much for the day. Until then, happy learning.